Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, RFK Refugees Podcast. Ted here, John here, coming at you. Let me just center myself. There we go. Much better. John, Ted, show, soccer, all the time. How are you doing, John? I'm back from vacation. Clearly, my brain was fried by the beach. But how are you doing, my friend?
You clearly needed a break. I'm turning off my TV so no one gets distracted by the HD behind me, but I'm glad you had you were at the beach, right?
Yes, I went to the beach. Went to Topsail Island, North Carolina, with the family. It was a lot of fun. Had a good time.
Awesome.
Enjoyed myself. Yeah.
We were over here in the content mines, putting out again way more episodes than anybody else wanted. So we're gonna keep on trucking. I'm gonna keep on doing that. Speaking of content stuff that's going on, I just wanted to share for the folks that are listening to this podcast on the third Tuesday that we are now exclusively streaming on Twitch, twitch.tv/RFK Refugees. For the folks that are watching live, hi, hello in the chat. For the people who are listening after this, join us next Tuesday. I think our next Monday night. We're having we're going to do some cool stuff with it. We're always premiering the video of our second and third, or however many episodes we do in a week, on Twitch, so you get to see that there first. As always, our Patreons will get audio before everybody else. So everybody, no matter where you're at, if you're supporting us, you're going to get some sort of advantage. Also, if you are following us on Twitch or you're joining us right now and you want to kick us a subscription using your Amazon Prime, go ahead and do that. If you don't know how to do that, we will talk you through it in the chat. Producer Brian will tell you how to do it. But it's great. It's free for you and supports the show. So we will... Just trust you'll hear this a lot. This is not going to be the only time I tell you to subscribe to us using your Amazon Prime subscription. Anyway, we could talk about soccer too.
And it's a no cost to you. If you have Amazon Prime, which most people have, I think that is a common thing most people have. You just go to your account. You connect your Amazon account, and then you go to our page, and then you click the little subscribe button, and it says whether you want to pay $6 a month. You can pay that as well if you want. You can pay that as well. You can subscribe on Twitch for $6 a month, or you can just throw your Prime in there if you've got it. You get one sub with your Prime,
or
your
bits.
Amazon Prime.
Or bits, which I'm sort of understanding, but not totally. But you throw bits at us, and that's something happens when that. Yes. So thank you if you've thrown bits at us. But let's talk about all this crazy amount of soccer that we've had in the last
the
week.
Crazy amount of soccer. Unbelievable amount of soccer. Sorry, John. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay.
You can start. You can start, my friend. You jump right in.
Sure. So we had we'll start with, so there's 4 games we're going to talk about tonight. DC United 0-0 draw against FC Cincinnati. Certainly not something that, I think before the week started, you would have been like, yeah, road draw at FC Cincinnati. That's acceptable. I will not be mad at that. But then a number of things happened. Injuries occurred. The lineup was the lineup. Lots of changes, obviously forced by injury. Eric Sorga back with the team. So if you needed any evidence of all the crazy things that are going on, Eric Sorga played one half of one game with Loudon, and then now is back for at least a month and a half, as Nigel Robertha is out for 6 games minimum due to some sort of strain. I'm now forgetting, some lower body extremity strain. But he's on the injured reserve list, which I swear this year we put more guys on that than I remember in the last couple of years. Brendan Hines-Ike, Jordi Reyna to start the season. I feel like it was one other player as well. Oh, Steve. I don't know if Steve was on it, but he was out. But so lots of the bodies. They're running out of the bodies. I think
yes.
we're closely approaching the not having fully 18 guys with the travel party. I think we're back towards the beginning of the year.
We are running out of bodies, and we have bodies that we thought would be back by now that have not returned. One in Edison Flores. I wrote a whole blog post about how this team needs to bring him back. If you want to go read it, this team needs him to be that number 10 if this team wants higher aspirations. He's still been listed as injured. Is he medically cleared to play yet? Have they dropped anything about that, about whether he is actually good, or what the holdup is with him? Because there were talks he was going to play, I think, all the way on July 14th during one of the exhibition games.
He had a setback that week in training. He is close to recovery. I believe he's in training, but he's not training at 100%. And they're inclined to not push him too much. Now, I guessed it on Tried and True, the post game, and we talked a little bit about, I think I took them down a negative road they didn't necessarily want to go down, but we talked about Edison Flores a little bit. and sort of talked about the extended series of not being available in this year, which you have to kind of call a make or break as far as what are you going to do with him long term. I think he's under contract for one more season. You wanted to have this season to understand how he fits into Hernan Losada's system, his formation, his player preferences. This not being available during the stretch comes at a bad time for him, for the team, especially the team, because Drew Skundrich is now in the Drew Skundrich role, which is now apparently very close to goal, and not quite a 10 and not quite an 8, but he's shuttling a lot more than I think anyone thought Drew Skundrich was going to be doing for us this year.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully he can get back and healthy, and hopefully he can start to contribute something, and we get to see something, because we've seen brief little flashes of what he can do, and we haven't seen the full picture. So I'm hopeful that it might just be a case of bad luck. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Let's talk about the game. FC Cincinnati, DC United getting a 0-0 draw, a gutsy 0-0 draw, we'll call it. Moses Nyman, of course, scoring a goal inside 5 minutes, then being ruled offside. Very, very close. Makes you hate VAR. Wish it never existed.
What?
And then
who said that before?
Those types of moments where I have an inkling. I have a feeling that in about 3 to 5 years, I'll say, time, that is no longer, Moses Nyman will be considered onside at that moment. I think there are going to be some changes coming to the rules. There have already been talks about changes, about changing the exact rule of what is classified as offside to sort of fit into the VAR side of the game. Because let's be serious, does Moses Nyman gain any type of advantage being that half a step? Does he really gain that much of an advantage?
No, not particularly.
Nope.
I think here's the solution. This is my good solution. For VAR, the referee is looking at a CRT television in low def without the ability to go slow-mo. So the only thing he can see are really obvious things that should have been seen by the referee in the first place. Can't slow down time. It's got to be real time, and you only get 90 seconds to look at it. 60 seconds, 30 seconds. That's how we fix it. So that's like the little tiny margin of stuff goes away because you can't even see it. Fix.
My fix to offside is rating like you have to have 2 points, like two, your head, your torso, your legs. Obviously your arms don't count. But if you only have one of those kind of leaning offside, then you're onside. But if two, so if you got your foot stretched and you're sort of leaning with your head, and both your head and your foot are in an offside position, I think that's how you can maybe fix it. The talk is, I heard the discussion is that it's like a full body length. By the way, you were wrong about the Nyman. We'll talk about the red card. You were wrong about the Nyman. Nyman's just suspended for one game.
Okay.
There's no two game suspension for a red. The disciplinary committee, if they decide to, can assess more games onto a straight red. But he is only missing one game. I am very, very confident about that.
Okay.
I almost wanted to yell at you when I listened to the podcast back on that one. So. But
okay.
Nyman puts up a red card. Nyman picks up a red card. I get serious about the laws of the game, man. You screw them up, I'm going to call you out on it.
Oh, okay.
They're going to call you out.
So now his wasn't the only his wasn't the only goal called off for offsides. Jordi Reyna continues to live in the offside zone. I was struggling to remember Mr. Offside with DC United, and it's Leonard Pahoy, and I couldn't remember it. Mm-hmm. Could not remember it. If there's one thing that Jordi is doing, it is misreading the guys right in front of him and running offsides and turning opportunities into not ones. And that's a challenge because right now he's starting at your 9, and he probably is going to start at your 9 again on Wednesday because Ola Kamara is still dealing with concussion symptoms, and you're apparently not going to start Bolivar, and you're not going to start Eric Sorga likely. So. Hopefully, I mean, that's not his position, right? Like, he's not a 9. Was never intended to be one for DC. He has been forced into it due to, again, the massive pile of bodies. But what are you going to do?
He is a player that I think it's pretty evident doesn't fit Losada's style. He is not the type of player that's going to fit that style. Rich is on the line right now, wants to mock both of us.
As long as he subscribes, as long as you can, there's a zero mocking tolerance for non-subscribers. Go ahead, Rich.
Go ahead,
okay,
Rich.
maybe mock is a strong word. How about I feel sorry for John's poor betting acumen and going for the big win when clearly if Acosta scores, it's very unlikely we win. So, I mean, come on, man. You got to make your bets make sense as a gambler.
Listen, I saw a 2-1, Rich. I felt a 2-1 on the road to FC Cincinnati with a bad defense, but clearly I was wrong. Clearly, it was very, very wrong.
As a gambler, I'm going to tell you, you might want to go with the goal scorer being on the winning team in soccer.
Okay,
make them match.
That's a good shout, Rich.
Make them match. And for Ted, your interpretation of two body parts being offside to make it clear offside is clearly a referee point of view kind of thing. So, I mean, I think that what Dave Johnson was talking about before this daylight proposal, that's the way it was called 40 years ago when I played. You know, like when I was a kid, to be offsides, you had to be fully clear of the other player. And somewhere along the line, it's evolved into this nitpicky stuff. And I think a lot of that has to do with VAR and the ability to see that. And I think that we need to go back to clear offsides because what we want is less offsides. We want, if it's someone's getting a clear advantage, then we want to call offsides. But if not, let's let some goals happen, you know, and make the game more exciting.
And that is actually what they're discussing right now. I forget who's. I think the old Arsenal coach whose name escapes me is like Wenger? A part of this whole. Yeah, Arsene Wenger's apparently a part of this push to change the offside rule. That's actually what they're discussing is the full body length. I don't know how much I'm for that. I think that could still you're gonna still run into the same things. You're gonna still run in, except maybe it'll just happen less. I think is the thinking behind it. But my idea is that even if you do the two full body lengths, or the full body length, you are still going to have players that are going to then cheat even more to try to get that extra jump, and then you're still gonna run into the same. I think you're still gonna run into the same problems. My idea with the two points is the idea that you still have players, basic forwards play the same way. There's a little more leeway given to them when they're sort of straddling that line and make that run. I think you see a lot fewer offside calls that way, and I think you see a lot more goals that are called because it is getting to the point, and I think MLS does it the best way. They don't have the silly little lines they draw in the Premier League, and most calls now I think they've developed enough of a repertoire where they call it offside. No one really argues with it. No one's going to argue Moses wasn't offside by the interpretation. He was offside. But I think that's sort of the good way that MLS has done their VAR, is that they don't get really nitpicky. It's more the referee has to use the eye test to determine whether it's offside or not.
Yeah. I wanted to ask one quick question.
I think we should just get a little tiny television.
One more quick
Go ahead,
question.
Rich.
Being a ref, Ted, maybe you have some insight to this, but for both of you, I've always wondered why they haven't gone to two refs, two referees, and then two side judges, because the side judges are making a lot of effort to assist the ref. They're not always in position to call the offsides. That draws them out. I mean, I've always thought with hockey went to two refs that soccer may follow suit, and I was just wondering if you guys knew some reason why they don't have two refs, one for each side of the field. I mean,
so yes, so that actually also has been discussed at certain points, is the idea of two referees. I don't know. I don't know from what you do have to understand about FIFA and how things are run is they're actually very, very slow to change. And I think the reason it hasn't changed, I think VAR was kind of we're going to either do VAR or we're going to get more refs on the field. And I think the solution was, well, we'll do VAR. And I mean, I know certain, soccer associations, youth associations would not want to pay extra referees. Referees like myself, what's that?
I said MLS might not want to pay extra referees.
Yeah. So I think that might be certainly. I think the idea is now you have VAR, so now you give that referee sort of that extra pair of. You essentially give him that extra referee. The VAR is the extra referee to sort of identify certain calls and things like that. So I don't know. Maybe that's something else you see change. Get more referees out there. Clearly, the professional game has gotten very, very fast. And referees are not always going to make the right call, and it's an incredibly difficult job when the game is that fast.
And also, too, if I feel like there's like a referee shortage. There has to be, based on the quality referee at USL and at NWSL. Like, they're not sending their best at those leagues below. So if they're pulling an additional ref from those leagues to make numbers, I think that we're going to be even worse off. They're going to have I think Ted will be having to quit the show to do NWSL refereeing. I think is what's going to happen.
No.
Just saying, what happened? They're going to call you.
I could not pass the. No, here's the way you fix it, John. You be nice to your kids' referees.
Oh, never doing that.
Your adult league referees. Be nice to them. Be nice to them. Yell at the professionals all you want. They're professionals. They're paid to be that way, and you pay a ticket to go to a game. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Rich, thanks for calling in, man.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
it. Yep. All right. What do we want to touch on the rest of the game? I thought Kevin Paredes played well. I thought he again shows
as he does.
Shows well. He shows well. I do think there is a little bit lost. I think there's almost the effect I feel that he loses when he doesn't have another offensive talent, because when you have Joseph Moore out there, Joseph Moore is a very defense-minded, winger and wing back. So I'm very, very glad. Number one, Paul did not get injured.
Yep. And
he will be returning. Then you have a good pairing with Julian Gressel. I'm hopeful. I am hopeful that Ola Kamara, this concussion thing. It seemed in the press. It seemed from the press conference that he is fine. He could have played, but due to concussion protocols, the rules, he has to do it. So I would be shocked if he does not make an appearance. If he does, at least not at least on the bench on Wednesday against Columbus.
Hope he does.
That's my thought. That's my thought on that one. Because I think what was it? Nick Losada remarked about the fact that New England. I think
Adam
Butska and Butska. Gotta give credit to Hernan Losada. He has just dug into this league, and just he watches every game.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he watches
for sure.
Yeah, he dives into this game. If we want to talk about something, do we think Gabriel Heinze watched every single MLS game? Maybe Chris Armas did. But I have some doubts. I'm trying to figure out what has made Losada successful. All these other coaches came in. Everybody was even Chris Armas. Everybody's like, Chris Armas is going to do. He's given it a chance. Let's see how he does. Gabriel Heinze was he's the return. He's the return to what the thing was. But why have they all just crashed and burned? They weren't able to get people to buy in. And Hernan Losada came in playing a similar style, demanding a lot of his players. Has been relatively successful and has overachieved with the talent he's had. So a lot of things to talk about there.
I also have here that Steve got to play. Birnbaum played 90 minutes back, returning after an injury scare a couple weeks ago, and a quick, I think, 5-minute cameo for Red Bulls. I think very, very important to have him through the stretch. There was I think that you've got to have the center backs rotating in and out, but particularly Brendan Heinz-Ike unavailable for probably much of the rest of the year. Tony Alfaro had an opportunity to play again. That was good. And I think it does not go without mentioning that Bill Hamid has another clean sheet. Has, I believe, 2 saves, I think, that were probably pretty critical that night. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I think he's 7th now all time. Still, maybe 2 behind the next. Zach Thornton, I believe, is right in front of him. I mentioned this on Tried and True. The challenge continues to be for him that you expect that of him. And he doesn't get the plaudits that he really deserves when he does that oftentimes, because it's that's what Bill Hamid does. He'll do that. And he'll make one good save a game, and if the margin's close, that might be enough to get you a point. So it happened again. This game on Wednesday is going to be very interesting. What do you got Columbus, and then you have Montreal, CF de Club de Foot Montreal, however many other, I think that's the name, on Sunday. So you got 2 games here coming up. What are your thoughts about how you would approach these 2 games? Columbus, I thought they were doing a little bit better than they are. They're right above DC United in the table right now. But you're taking them on the road, and you've got Montreal at home. How do you approach them with limited players? Are you trying to set out for a draw on the road and then try to make your bones against Montreal? You try to win both. What are your sort of big picture thoughts on those?
I mean, I think you have to look at the Montreal game's at home, right? I know the Columbus game is
Correct.
away, I believe.
Yep.
So you have it. To me, that sets it up. You play for the draw against Columbus. You try to see if you can scrape a point. Columbus has actually not looked that good though. I mean, they have not. You know, they have underachieved from where they were last season. They got spanked by New York City. So they have not looked, I guess, as solid as they have.
And you're right. If Kamara is available, that changes the calculus for Wednesday. Mm-hmm. I think. Although, I mean, there weren't a lot of chances generated. The challenge, of course, in evaluating that game is the red card happening kind of early in the very early in the second half. So in the first half, it wasn't on, obviously. So it's hard to know about chances created. Julian Gressel did not look as good as he did in the New York game. Clearly, obviously, because he was a machine in the New York game. But
I think the real question is going to be who's going to be available. Is Paul going to be back by Wednesday? Apparently, he was out partying till 4 a.m.
Good for him. I think he's earned a couple days. I would hope to see him on Sunday. That's where I'd like to see him. Be great if he could make it, but I don't think it's realistic.
Yeah, I don't think it's realistic. Have fun. I think Hernan's going to be like, have fun. You won a trophy, won a championship, enjoy it. Be here next week. We'll work you in. I think maybe he makes a sub appearance. I could see that. I could see him maybe making a sub. He may not travel. He may just say, you know what, we need you for Saturday. More. That's where we're going to want to pick up points. You're more important to that regard. So I think maybe they're just trying to see out a point in this game. So I think that's certainly right. I think we'll see. Apparently the rumor has it that Donovan Pines was not on the 4 a.m. excursion. He went back to his apartment. So I wonder if they're. Well, I think there's a difference of. I think there's a little bit of a difference of DC needs center back bodies, and right now, yes, they're short on attacking bodies, but. You're right. I think you're looking. There's a little bit of a difference there.
I don't know. I don't know that in evaluating going out and partying, he was like,
okay. Fair enough.
Hernans would be really mad at me. I think
maybe.
He was. Maybe he is that. Maybe he is that nerdy. Anyway, congrats. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that there in the show. Big win there. Let's pivot to a I don't want to say the least exciting game of the weekend because there's another one here. It happened in the Olympics. That wasn't very fun. But the Spirit plays Chicago again for roughly the 300th time. They lose 3-1 away. The first half. If you had Ted, do you have an opportunity to watch that one?
A little bit.
Okay.
I was kind of keeping track of it.
Yeah. First half was extremely rough. Hard to watch. Team looked flat, and they said ahead of time that the plan was to kick Trinity Rodman and frustrate her, and it worked for the first half. She had a very rough half. Apparently, she apologized to Richie at halftime for her performance. So I had joked with Jason Anderson around halftime. I was like, "This is not going to be a quiet locker room. I think Richie's going to have something to say." He actually asked post game if that was the case, and he said no. That there was a question about working for the badge, but I didn't have to say anything. But yeah, the first half was sort of a surprise. Mallory Pugh scores outside the box, running away from the goal, shoots across her body and rolls it into the far post. I don't know if Aubrey was a little screened or what have you there, but she, unable to make a real good effort there. The celebration was interesting. She had worked that out. Apparently, she had been, since the Challenge Cup, had decided she was going to do a baseball home run celebration, bringing her teammates in, and she got to do it. I believe she used to be dating Dansby Swanson of the Braves. I'm not sure if that's still going on. I don't know if that was like a nod that way or whatever it was. But Mallory Pugh continues to be having a very good season. Her best season in a while, since before she joined the Spirit, probably. Really, capitalizing on her playtime. She's healthy for the first time in a long time, but that's less of a concern than the rest of our team. Trinity scores a great goal, great individual goal. She intercepts the ball. Most of our goals appear to turnovers in the midfield seem to be very, very integral to goals that occur for the Spirit. Turns it over in the midfield. Runs 45 yards by herself, rounds the keeper with two defenders still there, makes a cut back, puts the ball between them and scores. She looked very tired afterwards. I would too, because she just ran past the entire Chicago team. Unfortunately, not enough. Once again, The Spirit concede in a corner to the Red Stars, just like they did at Segra. And just like last time at Segra, a red card for Sam Staub. Not a red card. I'm sorry. She got a penalty was called on Sam Staub, which not VAR because there is no VAR, but
there's no VAR.
replays very uncharitably looking at that call. It wouldn't have mattered in the end from the total calculus of the score there, but the Spirit just weren't there for it. The second half was a lot better. Kumi Yokoyama started the game. I think their first start the entire season. It's not been a great season for Kumi. Hauled off at halftime. Just was not a presence up top. Just a big departure. I remember in the Challenge Cup last year, Kumi was one of the best players for the Spirit. Very, very creative. The ball was running through them, and now it's not the case. So overall, it was a rough game. This happened certainly in it's August is insane. I think maybe 5 games in August. I think is something. Maybe that's right. But the great thing is it didn't really hurt them very much in the standings. I think they may have moved down one spot. The 1 through 7 is so dense that I think that it's just they're all moving together. It's like a giant block that doesn't really you don't move around too much inside of it.
Four games in August, by the way. So they have 4 games. I guess that starting yesterday. So 5 games. So 4 more games to
go. And the Olympians should be returning home. We can talk about that there. Let's switch the rundown around so we get to them. We get to that second. But they'll be returning home pretty soon. Anna Halferty has been playing right back. She was man of the match, woman of the match. They got to figure out they got a non-gender of the match, so at least I don't trip over it. Person of the match. She's been doing really, really well. And Kelly O'Hara's absence. I don't believe she'll keep her spot. Maybe Richie does let her keep her spot. I don't know how he does the international returning. But the cool thing is she will be on the show this week. So if you have any questions for Anna Halferty, mainly, what's it? How's you love the Olympics, don't you? You've gotten 5 starts in a row that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So you're a big fan of the Olympics, I bet. But she'll be on the show. I'll be interviewing her Thursday for the show. Will come out on Friday.
Yeah, and so I mean, let's talk a little about the women's national team. Obviously, the game was at 4 a.m. I've watched maybe a little bit of the highlights. Obviously, there was a penalty for the Canadian goal. What do we make of this? So I guess the real thing is not we may mention a little bit about how they played in the Olympics. I watched the only game I would say I watched extensively was the Netherlands game because I was at 7 a.m. and I was on vacation, so I could actually sit down. Wake up. It was at a semi-reasonable hour for soccer. It was not, so early in the morning. I sat down, watched the game. And I guess I feel like the whole game, if you wanted to show a game about how, if you are an assistant coach and you're trying to convince Vlatko that it's time to change, you show him that game. Because there was a player that was on an alternate. And if we were under normal Olympic rules, she would not have been allowed to play, and that was Lynn Williams, and she was the best player out there on the field for 60 minutes. She rallies the team back for a goal. I can't remember if the Netherlands had scored at that point, and then the subs happened. And when you ask Vlatko about it, he's like, well, I just thought they couldn't go for 120 minutes, so I subbed them at the halfway point for 60 minutes. It worked out for him. He, made it to penalties, but that kind of mentality, that kind of, I don't know, that type of thinking was kind of questionable to me. I'm like, so you were planning on going 120 minutes. If I'm a coach and I'm trying to win the game in regular, other than the final, maybe the final, I'm thinking it's the last road, but I know I got 2 other games I'm looking to play if we win this. I don't know if I'm thinking 120, I'm thinking 90. So I didn't agree with that. The tactical decisions were the moves maybe made somewhat sense. Maybe they're trying to keep some legs fresh. It doesn't work out. I thought we're finally starting to see players, especially Carly Lloyd, Megan Rapinoe. I think this is a time. I am going to be very curious to see what happens in the upcoming friendlies. Do you give a last ride to some of these players? Or do you use this as an opportunity to bring in some new talent? Bring in some of the players like Trinity Rodman, who's playing really, really well. Do you give her a shot? Give her an opportunity? You look that Mallory Pugh's having a better season. Maybe you bring her back into the fold. I mean, this is kind of the option now, and I think Vlatko needs to look at this and say, we need to start thinking about the next generation. We need to start thinking about the next players. And there's so much talent now in this league. There's a professional league. People forget there were moments when U.S. women's soccer was not the cream of the crop. And I think they won some Olympics. They won 2 Olympics, but I mean the World Cups, they had struggled. They had, it was 99. They lost the home soil in 03, 07, and then of course, in 2011, there was a long gap there, and we've had so much dominance for such a long time. I think people forget, and I think this needs to be seen as a notion of you need to start thinking about next World Cup because Mallory, you need to start bringing some new players in. There needs to be some fresh legs, some fresher legs. Because it was very clear that the U.S. had been found out in this tournament, and no one was scared of them, and they probably had one of their weaker showings, even though they made a semifinal, which is crazy.
It is.
And I don't know if you have the same thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think that I look at the men's national team and how they treated sort of players that had gone past sort of their peak. Michael Bradley may never get a call in again, right?
No.
And he was the captain, and he was integral to the team, and there was no sort of slow off ramp for him. There was a switch that was flipped, and that was it, and that was all there was to it. A number of players you can think over the years, it's very, very abrupt endings to their national team careers. I mean, a lot of the people involved in the Trinidad game, I think, is a way to look at it. That was a definitive closing. I don't think they'll do that here, and I think that they should. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying goodbye to some of these players that have had such an impact. But I bet you that they're not going to. Either they're going to use this opportunity. I think U.S. Soccer, I don't know if this is cynical. I think U.S. Soccer will say, we really want to sell out these return home games or whatever the next amount of friendlies are. And we know that people come out for some of these players. And we're going to keep them in. And the games are friendlies. And that's it's important right now to make money. So that's what I think they'll do. It would be better for the long-term health of the team to make that decisive move now, rip the Band-Aid off. Like you said, the invincibility cloak and spell is lifted. I think on a good day, they're probably still very afraid of the women's team, the U.S. team. But now there's, they've been punched in the face now. So I think this is the chance you use to say, all right, we're going to reload. We got enough players. I've been talking about U.S. Women's National Team B that would compete in CONCACAF and probably place. I think now is the time to sort of roll that over and start fresh. But I don't think they'll do it.
Yeah. I think the part of the problem is the one again. What you have to think about is the U.S. was able, I think, in also a certain sense, to do those types of things because there's no contract, so to speak. There's the U.S. women's team is a club team that pay these players have contracts. These players sign contracts. There are players that get invited on and they still get paid. But most of your players you see every week, Alex Morgan, all of them are full time with the U.S. women's national team. That's how it's all set up. So I think that also adds a layer to it. U.S. Soccer could say, "All right, Michael, that's it. You're done. Bye." There's no contract with him. He gets called in. He gets paid when he gets called in.
Yep.
He gets a flat fee for coming in. That's negotiated between the U.S. players, but there's no set 2-year contract for Michael Bradley or 3-year contract. So I think that's the other tricky part of this with the women's team and how they handle that.
SMC Ultra here makes a good point, saying what tournament could they try out new talent? They're expected to win every tournament. I think that's fair, but this is an opportunity now. Everyone having seen how this tournament went, I think that this is a natural breaking point. Mm-hmm. To the your point aside, I think that the contract thing is a certain complication. I think the commercial side is a complication. But if soccer were the only consideration, that would be what I would do. That's what I think what you would do too, and try to make that move.
My hope is that Vlatko is able to call in the Megan Rapinos, call in the Alex Morgans, and then also maybe call in the Trinity Rodmans, the Alex Sanchez, maybe call in some of those players and get an opportunity to fit them into the game and start to maybe begin that transition. And also use it as hey, Megan Rapinoe, we're bringing in Alex Sanchez. We want to see what she can do. If you think you can beat her, go beat her. Go prove that you can play better than her if you want to keep being around. Give some actual direct competition there.
I believe I put
and I think you also got the She Believes Cup. That might be the better moment maybe to start looking at that transition.
Although they take that pretty seriously. It's a tournament invented, but they still take it pretty seriously. Ashley Sanchez, I may have put the whammy on her, talking about I'm not going to assume that it was because we talked about it at length about her rolling her sleeves up, but I think for the first time all season, and maybe in her college career even still, she had the sleeves down in Chicago. She had them rolled down. Did not have a good game. So I don't know if it's like a Superman escape situation. I don't know, but just pointing that out. But that should, I think Ashley Hatch has sort of proved herself into saying, get a call on. Alex Morgan's still really producing at the NWSL level and didn't really start too many of these games. So I think you still definitely want to have, she's still up there. I think there are probably 3 or 4 players. I even think potentially one of the Spirit players had a pretty rough tournament. Kelly O'Hara, lots of criticism about her play. And that may be another player that you try to figure out what your long-term solution there is at right wing back. But anyway,
I want to respond to SCM Ultras. Does U.S. Soccer need to change the club team policy? It's good for everyone involved. I honestly don't know. It's certainly good for the U.S. women's team. I mean, right now the big problem is that NWSL is not paying. They're not paying players enough to make that policy go away. I am sure U.S. Soccer would love it if they could get rid of that policy. But if NWSL stepped up enough and was willing to step in and say we're going to take over, we're going to pay them more, than they're going to make, then I think you could see that. I think you could see that go away. I think you could see that suddenly it becomes stronger for them to go. I don't know how soon we are to that, or whether we're even close to that. I think we're still a ways off from that. So I don't think that policy is going away. I don't think the women would want that policy to go away. That's guaranteed income every year for them. Making the U.S. national team is essentially when you get that contract, it is a big deal and players have talked about how big of a deal it is because they get a guaranteed salary every year. They get to do soccer every year. It's guaranteed. So I mean that is certainly something they do not want to get rid of. Yeah, let's talk. I guess we'll sunset that.
One last thing about that, and this goes to Rich's sort of criticism of my gambling. I think I may have made another bad bet. So I bet draw no bet win for Australia over United States in the bronze medal game. Here's my reasoning, and check my reasoning. It's a bronze medal. Americans are exceedingly snotty about bronze medals. There's going to be, I would imagine, a big letdown from having lost the previous game. They're going to cycle in some new players. I think Adriana French will get her first start, and she may do better. It's entirely possible. Nair played very well, but it's possible that French has a good match there. What do you think? What do you think the odds are of the U.S. coming? They can either come out flat and sort of have a repeat, or they could play with abandon because they have no expectations of them anymore. And it's just sort of free play, and maybe they're unleashed a little bit more. What do you think? How it's going to go?
I think they will actually want to come out and win this game. I don't think there'll be the American public. I mean, the Olympics I think is the one sport where first, second, or third kind of second and third can kind of bring on a little bit more of a. It's different. It's different with the Olympics. It's different with every other sport. I always thought third place games and World Cups
they should cancel
and Gold Cups and we're just ridiculous. I remember the U.S. Panama third place game I think that was the last year they did it for the Gold Cup was just an absolute. I mean, those tournaments you don't need a third place game for those. The Olympics is different. The Olympics has that structure. Every single event, first, second, third. There's bronze. There's medal counts. It's different. So I am okay with a third place game when it comes to the Olympics. And I think the U.S. should go out and try to win it. It's still hardware. It's still silverware. It still matters to a certain extent. It's disappointing. I think you wanted to win gold.
Right.
But
that's that's the only thing that I'm thinking is that it's one thing if you weren't expected to win gold and you're in the bronze medal game, then you're like, hey,
that's
cool,
fair.
a medal. But now it's just like, pfft. But for my FanDuel account, I hope they don't. For my for everything else, and also I hope there's no spirit injuries. Julia Rotter is it Sweden against Canada?
Sweden against Canada.
So Julia Rotter did not make the 18 for the semifinal, but she may. So the Spirit's only rooting interest. So if you're a Spirit fan, go Sweden. That's all we've got. There's no other reason to have a stake in the game.
Go Sweden. Yes, I think we can all agree. We can all agree with that. Yeah. So I mean, we'll see what happens. I think it's interesting times in the U.S. women's camp. I think we're entering an interesting phase of what's going to be what's going to happen. Rightly so. Megan Rapinoe was like, "You guys are trying to sunset me too early. Stop it. I can still play." She still believes she can play, but a player's always going to think that. I think it's up to a coach to make that tough call, make that tough decision.
How many goals does she have for the Reign this season?
I haven't looked.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet you it's not very many.
Well, it's being with the national team. I think a lot of the national team players. I'm not sure it's been easy considering what they've been preparing for, especially with the Olympics. But let's transition to happier U.S. soccer news. U.S. getting a win over Mexico, 1-0 in the Gold Cup. Wow. Crazy game. First of all, let's talk about the field. 69 yards wide. Apparently doesn't meet FIFA. I'm not sure. Like, I tried to look at the field. I was like, so can you extend it? Can you get to that at least get it to like FIFA, I guess, FIFA standards or MLS standards? I think MLS mandates 70 yards on the sideline. So that was certainly interesting to start off the bat, that you build a $1 billion stadium and you don't make it applicable for soccer when there is a huge Latino population that lives in your state and around the area,
and
too.
A long-term aspiration for MLS, which they're obviously not going to build a separate stadium, but it's going to be there. So not good, not smart.
Yeah. I don't know how you fix that. Probably a tough thing to fix, but yeah. So, 69 yards, wild game. We had a rooting interest in Paul Arriola, and also a please, for the love of God, do not get injured.
So I had to rock the Arriola jersey. I'm sure he'd love to see me in this. If he ever saw a Swansea jersey with his name on it, he'd be like, "But why? Why did you do it?" But we, had to give it up for him. Had to wear it out.
Did he actually ever wear the away kit?
Probably not.
Did he actually ever wear the away kit? I think I saw him appear twice. I'm not even sure he actually even wore the away kit.
Chat, help us out. Did he ever play away for Swansea?
So I do want to talk about from a DC perspective. We are DC fans. We are DC supporters. We are fans of Paul Arriola. Paul had an opportunity to put the team up twice. The second one, I'm not.
At least that was a save.
Yeah.
So
at least that was a save. So he had two opportunities. The first one, I want to talk about the first one because that was he does. I don't think he does anything wrong in that sense. He puts the ball past the keeper. It hits the post. Everybody wants to talk about like it's this. I'm not going to say it's not a bad miss, but I'm going to say it's the worst miss ever. He's trash. He's terrible.
It's not a Wando miss. It's not a. It's not a 6 feet in front of goal, wide empty net. That's not what's going on. He was trying to shape a ball. It didn't work out. It was close. It got past, like you said, past the keeper. It can hit
past the keeper. Hit
happens.
Yeah, hits the post. I thought the keeper did well to cut down the angle. Mm-hmm. Not a bad miss. I mean, he did not change any minds, I think, with his play. I think he will still play a role in this national team with the way the games are set up.
And Greg loves him too.
Out there. Yeah, Greg likes him. He does bring a certain energy, and I thought he did a lot of other things that that maybe the stat sheet MLS Buzz isn't going to show you. I thought he brought a lot of energy. He brought a lot of
that's his calling card, right?
Yeah, a lot of energy. He had a couple moments where he won possession back for the team, generated opportunities. He made couple really nice dribbles. I thought his performance was okay. I didn't think it was fantastic. I thought he hustled in that last moment to give the team, give a sub an opportunity to come in fresher legs and really and sort of draw out that game and really keep the team alive in a lot of respects. So I think he gets the captain's armband for a reason. I think I think that still plays a role in that. So I think we'll still see him.
Yeah,
I think we'll still see him around. So and also he was coming off injury. I think some other people were trying to say, oh well, Daryl DK, man, he was coming off injury too, and I'm like, yeah, well, so was Paul. Paul pulled himself out, sat out a game, he was coming off an injury. So I'm not going to sit here and say that maybe didn't have an impact on how he played and everything like that. So
am I okay with the fact he didn't score 7 goals in this tournament and necessitating an emergency bid for him in the next week over in Europe? I'm not mad at it. I think that DC United fans see him play and see what he does for DC United and see the same thing and see the ability to impact the game that doesn't show up on the stat sheet, that makes the players around him better, that encourages players around him to put in the same amount of effort. And that's what he did for the national team, and that's why Greg likes him. I think that there's guys who don't score all the goals, who contribute in all those other ways, and they're always he's a better version of this, but he's Drew Skundrich to Hernan Losada. He's a guy who fits the system. He's a guy who gives him exactly what he wants, dependably, and he knows that he knows what to expect out of him. It's not going to be up big and down big. It's going to be right there.
I think what you have with the national team right now is you have all this young talent, all these young players, and I think everybody when they are dogging on Paul Arriola, there is a player they think that should be in that role.
Sure.
And that is why, and he has become sort of that player where everybody's like, well, we can get this guy in here and he'll be better. I think everybody would have been screaming at Giassi Zardes being out there, and why not Daryl DK? Daryl DK comes out, doesn't play very well. Giassi Zardes, everybody's like, okay, that makes sense,
right?
But everybody has in their head a player that they think would fit that role better. I'm not sure if it existed on this team. This was very much a BC team, if you had to give a grade, let's give a grade to our DC players. We got Donovan Pines and we got Paul Arriola. Give Paul Arriola a grade, A, B, C, or D.
I would say B. I think B fits. Obviously, he was injured in one game. Mm-hmm. This is the game that he had the biggest impact. Did he play the second game? I'm trying to recall now. The semifinal.
He came in for 10 minutes in the first game, sat out the second game. I think he then played the third game, and then he played maybe he subbed in the quarterfinal. I know he played the semifinal. He started the semifinal, and then of course started the final. So yeah. So I'm going to give him a C. I think just the fact he didn't change anybody's mind. He's the same player he always was. He didn't do anything spectacular. He put in some solid work, some solid effort. I think everybody else is going to write him off. I think now it's on him to come back and have a good MLS season and start to earn those looks again. Donovan Pines, I don't know whether we can give him.
Incomplete.
He had one incomplete. Yeah, he had one appearance. I think it's
he
looked.
Go ahead. Sorry.
He started out solid in his appearance, and then definitely showed what he shows for DC sometimes, which is, just a little bit of sloppiness, a little bit of young player. I think a lot of people on the national media have remarked that they really didn't understand the move. I thought it was worth giving to him. He had stepped up for DC, so now he gets to come back. He gets that experience. He gets that chance to come back and slide into this team and use that as as a building block to maybe play himself into the picture again. So
it is concerning that the fault he showed with DC is the same fault he showed there, and it's one you can't make. You can't make anywhere. You can't really make it at MLS either, but you certainly cannot make it at the international level. It's that sort of lack of sureness with the ball at your feet is just it's not good for a center back. All the other things that he does well, they key on you. It's like blood in the water. Toronto even did it in the 7-1 game before things turned around and went completely DC United's way. But every time that he got the ball in the back line, it was like a triple press at him because they just figured that they were going to be able to shake it loose from him.
I think for Donovan Pines, what I'm seeing is when he is comfortable and he is, because he has ironed out most of that out of his game. He still has the occasional moment. But for DC, he's ironed that out a lot. I personally think. I mean, I've watched a couple games with him where he's looked great.
Yep.
The Miami game I saw live comes to mind. He was fantastic in that game. I think when he is comfortable and he is sure of himself, and he gets that experience. Like he has the time in a club roster to sort of build that up, to build up that comfortableness around his players, to build up the comfortableness around the coach and the system. I think he does pretty well. When you kind of throw him into a situation, that's what it really is about the international game, is being thrown into a situation and it's sink or swim. You have a limited number of times to show. You make a mistake for your club team, you're probably going to get another chance. Even if you get benched, you probably get a sub appearance, a chance to show that you can recover from that. International game, you're not. He had one opportunity, didn't go well, and Gibraltar just said, "Okay, we're gonna push you back. I've seen all I need to see," and that's the international game. That's the international game. You're gonna get very, very limited appearances.
He was also injured.
Incomplete.
He was also injured for some of those games, and for a DC perspective, the good thing is that he was healthy enough to make the 18 in the final. So that means he's ready to rock. Probably Wednesday. Hopefully he's available.
Yeah.
Do you think he rolls right in for Alfaro?
I don't know about Wednesday. I think maybe you see him as a sub. Maybe you see him come in off the bench. Maybe he starts. I think it's going to depend on what it's like when he comes back, or whether Losada says, "No, you've been away. Let's give you guys a week. Don't have to travel. Let's go to practice. Let's get your training up, and we'll see you guys on Saturday when we need the points. Yeah, we need 3 points out of that game. So let's talk. I mean, just some other thoughts I want to rattle off, I guess, about the tournament. This is I have been somebody. There's a lot of people out there that have been calling for Berhalter's head. A lot of people yelling about U.S. Soccer about to be hired. I think this tournament more than anything showed that Berhalter was the right choice. He does know, you might not agree with what he's doing, but there is a thought to what he's doing, and he is starting to grow into the job in a way I think that is really good. And the fact that he took very much a not even a B team, a C, maybe pushing on B- team, and managed to navigate a tournament and won a trophy and upset the rivals in Mexico. That is not something that that really. And Mexico brought their A team. Mexico went all in on this tournament.
You've got to say C team, because if you look at this roster, there are MLS fans who are like, "Who is this guy?" like guys who men and women who follow MLS that are looking at this like, who? I don't even. So
that was probably Donovan Pines for most.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, no, I mean, it was absolutely a C team, and he managed to pull this team together. They bent but never broke in a lot of games, and they rattled off 3 wins, no penalty shootouts, and they managed to go out and win the game. And the Mexico game was probably the game where they got the most fortunate. Mexico couldn't finish, U.S. couldn't finish. They squandered some chances. But it matters what happens at the end. Mm-hmm. And they got the free kick. They got the opportunity. They made the most of it. And, they're the ones on the podium. So you got to talk about this as we talked about. I think what we now can say is that there are going to be seesaws in this U.S.-Mexico rivalry. U.S. got the better of Mexico 2000 to 2006, we'll say. Then you saw kind of it start to shift back, and Mexico had a dominant period. I think the key for the U.S. is going to be to continue sort of cycling the talent in. And I think, if you're asking who left happier, it's definitely obviously Greg Berhalter because he won. But I think also Greg Berhalter got information on certain players. Kellen Acosta is a guy you're going to definitely see. He had an excellent game. Yep. Eric Williamson, too, had a fantastic game. He was great.
He really is. He really is. That one hurts, right? Like that's one of those ones.
Stinks.
That one's you're like, geez. I think so.
I wonder, has anyone told Hernan that like we had him like in our backyard and we let him go?
They don't.
I wonder how upsetting that would be if he. I'm sure he knows. I'm sure someone.
I'm sure he does.
I'm sure he found out. But yeah, you talk about defensively. Miles Robinson also looked great. Had a great final. Matthew Hoppe is
your boy.
that dude. When that dude gets older, that dude is gonna that is going to be a player that people are. He is going to be the guy you're going to see in game. He's going to have some skill. He's going to pull out some things, but most of all, he's going to get in players' head. He is going to earn some red cards for the opposing team. I am fully projecting that. He is going to get in somebody's head. Now, it's CONCACAF, and apparently if you kick somebody in the head with your cleats, apparently that's not a red card. But that's CONCACAF. What a wild. That was like a wild moment in that game. But yeah, I mean, obviously, I think a great tournament for Greg and a
second trophy
future.
Second trophy against Mexico in the year. So, woo.
And, you're going into World Cup qualifying with, I think a good amount of data that you can pick a good roster out of this. And it's going to be exciting. The future is bright. I think this was the confirmation that I think the future is bright. Everybody was woe is me. Oh, the U.S. soccer is going to be terrible. And I think this team proved them wrong. I think they proved a lot of skeptics wrong that a team of MLS players can go in and pull this off. I think MLS has to love this, because I think it showed that this league is developing good talent. There is good talent in this league that can go out and win tournaments and win trophies. And maybe it'll get some of those people who say, "Oh, why did I watch MLS? It's such a bad league." Maybe it turns some heads on that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If you're Greg, you're like, I can just grab 18 guys. Like, I can just mix and match from our pool. I'll just grab some dudes and go out and win tournaments like that. That is, I mean, the good news is that you have depth in a lot of positions. The bad news is that it makes selection for larger tournaments a lot more complicated, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Good problems to have, of course, but seriously, now if you're showing that you can, the system is good, the way you're setting the teams out to play are good, and then it's just a matter of which ones you pick. It makes every decision that much more. If things go wrong, say in the World Cup, should we get there? Knock on wood, we should get there. But it makes everything a little bit more easy to like nitpick, because every decision is gonna be, oh, you should have picked Matthew Hoppe. I don't know what you're doing. You needed somebody to like annoy the Belgians. You needed someone to like get in front of a short player's face and like say how tall he was. Very Matt Miazga level trolling that was going on in the Mexico game with him. So, but overall, the win's fantastic. The guts to stay into the game. Also, thank you so much for not going to penalties. Did not want to deal with that. Did not want to stay up more. It was just great to have it end.
I would have felt pretty good. I actually say I would have felt pretty good about penalties with Matt Turner in there. I don't know. I would have. He was solid.
I just didn't want the stress. I think I just didn't want any of the. It's fine. Thank you for doing that. Yeah. I appreciate it.
All right, folks. I think that's going to do it for this episode. We got 2 games coming up next week. I am going to be doing more traveling this weekend, so it should be a lot of fun. Thank you all so much for listening. If you're checking out on Twitch, make sure to subscribe on Twitch. Donate on our Patreon. It all helps the show. It all helps us bring us content and helps grow the show. And we're gonna be doing more with this. I think we're moving to Twitch, and we've got some cool ideas. I think we're gonna run through things we're going to do to grow out the show and give you guys some extra content. Some extra content to watch and bring in some new people as well. Thank you all so much for listening. Show's out Tuesday. Like I said, John's going to have his weekly interviews out. Definitely be on the lookout for that. Twitter.com, RFK Refugees. Tell people, tell friends, tell everybody about this show. Tell how great it is.
We're even on LinkedIn, by the way.
LinkedIn.
We're everywhere.
We're everywhere. All right, y'all. We'll check you guys sometime down the road. Vamos.